Welcome, everyone. I want to make sure that as we are getting started to our school site council for today, on the chat, I have gone ahead and put the link to both the agenda and the sign-in sheet. If you can please go ahead and take a moment to sign in and then open up the agenda that has quite a number of links that we will be referencing during the meeting. But hopefully everybody's doing well. Ms. Gonzalez, if you can let us know too if we have enough folks to start the meeting. I know we're missing a few. You're muted, Ms. Gonzalez.
We have 3 staff members and 3 parents, so it's parity.
Okay, perfect. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start us off for our school site council meeting for April the 15th. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Vicente.
Hello, everyone. Hope you had a good spring break. Happy spring. I'm going to place the minutes in the chat. Let me go ahead and do that. I'll place the minutes. This is from our last meeting. If you can go ahead and look it over, for revision. It's in the, I just placed it in, but I'll place it again. This is minutes from March. Let me place it again because folks are just coming in. So minutes from March. ¿Qué color? ¿De dónde se va grabando de aquí? Pues también de aquí se van a dar
Ms. Gonzalez, I think we're picking the audio from the front desk.
Oh, I think is that Fabi, I think is, let me double check.
Okay.
Fabi, are you on Zoom? That's fine. Okay. Yeah.
In the meanwhile, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second to approve the minutes?
Second.
Who was that? I'm sorry, who seconded?
Ms. Childress, was that you?
Yes, that was me.
Perfect. And then Ms. Childress, can you sign in too? Can you sign in the sign-in sheet?
Oh, okay.
Thank you. So
for that, Ms. Vicente.
good link for the sign-in. Got it. Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Childress, for seconding that. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to any reports that we may have from DAC or DLAC.
I was not able to attend this past meeting, but I am scheduled to attend the following 2.
Thank you, Mr. Felix. Ms. Gonzalez, do you know of anything that needs to be
I
addressed?
tried to get a copy of it. They used to post it, but they did not post this past one. So once I have that, I can share it with you. But I did not, they did not post it for me to retrieve.
So that will go ahead and move us into, is that the same for ELAC?
We're actually going to be meeting because one of the items that was mentioned in the minutes about the reclassification date. So we'll finalize that, and then we'll have them report for the next month.
Okay, thank you for that. So that moves us into any public input. Any public input from anyone? Okay, seeing no public. I'm sorry, was somebody saying something? Okay, thank you, Laura, for letting us know that you're on the phone with Margarita to join the meeting.
Can Laura, can you sign in for her?
Can someone sign in for me? I don't see the.
Okay.
Yes, Ms. Childress will go ahead and sign in for you.
Thank
And
you.
then Laura, if you can please sign in Margarita. If not, we will sign her in as well if she's on the phone with you. Okay, seeing there are no public input, we're going to go ahead and move into old business first. And this will be the review and approve of safety plan that we discussed last month. Ms. Gonzalez?
I'll go ahead and present a copy. Basically, the names and phone numbers have been updated. Ms. Fabiola went ahead and reviewed all of those, and we made the corrections according to that. And so you'll notice the areas that are whited out and updates with names. One of the big changes, we did put Ms. Fabiola Ambris on top of Command Center as well. That is a change that we did after reviewing it with her. And she is part of the safety committee as well. And again, all the other names and such have been corrected. Any questions on that before it gets approved?
No questions. Is there a motion to approve from anyone?
I move to approve. This is Ms. Angel.
Thank you, Ms. Angel.
A second.
Thank you, Fabiola. Okay. Next up on our agenda, we have our new business, and that's going to bring us into reviewing the current year 2025-26 Title I programs and allocations for data and input as needed. Ms.
So
Gonzalez?
I updated the most current as of 3/27. I did take a peek see if there were any changes this week. But you'll notice that expenditures on the tutoring, the family nights, and substitute teachers for teachers to test their students have been updated. You'll notice the difference in change. So this is payroll that went in last month that is now reflected. This amount, as I had mentioned, it was creeping up. So we have spent a little bit more on this one because we wanted to make sure we got the most intervention for students. And we did not spend any of the money for staff development because district was able to cover that. But this is one of the areas that, as you'll notice, because of the increase, it's an area of interest and for parents as well. We have some parents that mentioned about the benefit that their students have had with intervention. That's usually not a problem if we go a little bit over. It does cover whatever we have some of the money extra, it will go towards covering for that. Any questions on the classified or teachers one? On the certificated, I'm sorry, that was a certificate. The classified, there's an update with the activity supervisors with providing support with supervision during activities, as well as, anything. We still offer the childcare in the mornings. No one has taken us up on that offer yet for the parent meetings. It is difficult to offer it for an extended period of time when they are at training because they do need to provide supervision as their primary support for students during recess, but they have been available for, they were here for our open house, providing support, making sure people knew where they were going. And then the other one on the classified, we have not used any of the computer tech support for students. There hasn't arisen an opportunity or a need for that. So nothing has been spent on that. On Face Community Liaison, we had allocated $1,000. We are now over $1,000. But as we mentioned, that is also another need. And that pays for any events that are going beyond the school day during her regularly scheduled time and to provide support for parents. The extra pay homework club has been occurring. They just submitted the first payroll. We do monthly payroll today, so that is not yet reflected on that. But we have had about average of about 8 students a day that they've been coming in. Sometimes it's some of the same students. Other times we do have different students, various grades, kinder through 5th. But average about 8. In some cases, we've had 14, 12. Other times we've had 3. So the average is about 8 to 10, roughly, when I went through those. And so those are the classified expenditures that we have so far. The total money that was obviously allocated is 13,000, but we do have a big chunk that is these two that will increase as the months pass with payroll being submitted.
Ms. Gonzalez, I see Ms. Vicente has her hand up.
Yes, Ms. Vicente.
Ms. Gonzalez, about how many more weeks do we have with the homework club?
I wanted to get feedback from you guys as teachers as far as how long do you need that support? Because I know towards the end teachers stopped giving homework. However, the students that are going there not only doing homework, but they're also having an opportunity to work on ST Math. We extended that time so they can do AR as well. It's open an hour later, so students can go in into AR and ST Math or Lexia. So it's until you guys need it. We do have the money allocated there.
I think maybe can we do another round of promotion? Another round of promotion, especially for, I mean, I'm 3rd grade, but just, to remind the teachers, maybe a bit more targeted, I don't know how we can quite do that, but just to keep it in the teachers' minds that, hey, we have homework club or flyers. But I have one kid who's gone, but I think I could, I could definitely, as a teacher, promote that even more. I don't think we can let up yet. We're not, we have state testing, right? Like we have some work to do. So I think let's keep going, but just another round of, hey, this is going, it's still going, or it's going to keep going. We have, however many weeks, but I think teachers can use the reminder. And
I can definitely repost it for the parents and then remind teachers as well during our weeklies that we sent out. I was very pleased with the variety of students. And then just so you know, some of the activity supervisors that we might have 2 or 3 kids that stay there, waiting for an older sibling or are usually picked up late. They have been sending them to homework club as well. So when I talked to them, I said, instead of them just sitting there, kind of wasting their time, they have specifically sent some of those. And they are getting benefit out of it because the parents, they do come in through the front to pick them up. And so there's one day that we had easy 12, 13 kids here. So it's been a good thing. And we have currently two people that are supporting them, and they've been able to support. Obviously, we can open it to more, and then if there's more people that are interested in working extra, the money is there. So we can definitely provide that support.
I echo the promotion of it. And then if you can also make a note that once you know when we're going to be ending homework club, can you
Mhm.
also send an announcement saying homework club will be over on this date?
Okay.
Just so that as parents also know this date is available. But I also wanted to share with the school side council. I was at the parent meeting earlier this month, and we had a few parents who have been strong advocates for getting their students some homework support. And they were very pleased. And they said, this was something that they have been advocating for month through month. And they were happy to see that it was finally being offered and that their kids were showing interest in it and they were appreciative of it. So I wanted to kind of bring this back to the committee and kind of share that out because I know that that is something new that we were able to do. I know Mr. Felix was also able to share and advocate on this earlier too. And so thank you for that. And I wanted to make sure all of you heard the feedback that we're hearing back from the parents. With that being said, Ms. Gonzalez, would you prefer to go through the budget, all of it before we start making recommendations around moving monies? Or do you
Um,
want to do it section by section?
I can basically the only other changes are along the instructional
Okay.
supplies, which you see that it's jumped. There's several orders that are already in place that are not reflected here. So even though we have like the 45,000 here, there is easily another close to $10,000 that has been ordered, but it's not reflected here. So the only one that I did talk to the department that does budgeting, this is one of our concerns because this does take a while to reflect it. So really the only place that I see at this time being some extra money would be right now in this one, but this will help cover some of the overages that we've had here, and then not having anything reflected on the homework club. That does the last monies that will be reflected on all these three will be in June.
Mm.
So at that time, we'll know exactly how much is left over. However, as you'll notice, there is overages on this one, and I anticipate that this will be close to that, especially with the homework if we extend it to as much as possible, which is definitely doable. Most of this 13,000 will be expended. We do have one other STEAM night coming up, so that'll be another $2,000 or so for that. And then again, FACE, we have another few parent events and activities. So I can see close to another 1,000 being spent in there as well. But these are hard to exactly calculate how much total. But this one is coming pretty close, but there are some areas that are missing. So we'll have a better picture, as the days progress. I can see within the next 3-4 weeks, this will be a little bit higher because the requests have been placed. They just not quite reflected on the monies.
Got it. Mr. Felix, I saw that you had a question.
I do. I have a question. Can we clarify how much of the Title One budget is going directly to small groups or one-on-one interventions versus materials and software?
Mhm. For intervention, we have the intervention and enrichment that is provided by teachers. That's the first part. Parent workshops, collaboration when we do bring a teacher to substitute to release the teacher. That's not necessarily intervention directly for student, but it does help the teacher to be able to get accurate data for the test. That's support in that way. For tutoring, that's after school tutoring, $6,000, 187 have been spent out of the 14. Again, not all is reflected there. We did submit on the 10th payroll for teachers. The other intervention that we did, we had $4,000. This was with substitute teachers coming in to provide intervention, and these two are small groups. On this one, we had allocated initially 4,000. We saw the greater need. We added a few more math, ELA, and some ELD, so we ended up spending 11,000 on that. That one has concluded, and that's when the after-school part began. So these two are small groups. As far as one-on-one, most of them are smaller groups, some as small as 5 to 8, depending on that. So those would be the small group intervention. As far as intervention, obviously in the area of homework, that's considered intervention or additional support provided by classified. We allocated $6,000. And then software, that has been paid out. It was 14,000 for English language arts and math software. So 14 out of the whole 126 that we have is software. And materials, obviously, those are the ones that are reflected here. And most of these are supplemental materials. It can include the curriculum that we use for small group instruction. It includes classroom libraries for the teachers, additional supplies besides what we give them that are basic. For example, a teacher wanted one of those external screens so they can share data with parents. That's covered under Title I because it's supplemental, and any additional materials that the teachers have. We've included instructional material or materials for parent engagement, AVID, and obviously we removed the refreshments. Those are materials we had originally allocated about 45,000, and that goes, supplemental besides what we pay out of our general fund that the district provides.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? I'm glad to see that the field trip has increased.
Mhm.
So I'm happy to hear more students are getting opportunities to experience things.
Mhm.
Is the field trip entry fee something that we should anticipate seeing?
Yes, actually, there's at least, I believe, 2, maybe 3 that they did cut the deposit for one of them already. It's not reflected here yet, though, so we'll see those reflected.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Seeing none, we can go ahead and move on to new business number 2, which is the update on this year's needs assessments, goals 1 and 6.
Okay. As you might recall, we reviewed very basically the data surrounding the 3 academic areas, ELA, ELD, and math. Area 1, oops, I'm trying to see this. Let me double check because I see that the link is incorrect. Give me a second. I can provide that shortly. And I will correct it in a second here so you have that. For the first one is school and climate. That's the first area. What we have here, and I've included in the documents, are the reports on Panorama Survey. The students do the fall and the spring, and this is a lot of data, obviously, that is there available for you. And in analyzing that, one of the things that kind of stood out as students answered, I can drill down a little bit deeper into actual questions. And one of the areas that we saw that needed to be increased, do you feel close to people at school? That was at 59%. It was one of the lowest, which we feel that that's an area that needs to be addressed. The other areas that we looked at, that there was an improvement, and questions whether students spreading rumors and teasing. It was at 67 for rumors and 68 for teasing. The highest percentage when students were being asked, that was an increase about stealing and personal property was 78%. So this is drilling a little bit farther. So in kind of analyzing this whole piece, it says indicates that we need to reinforce relationship building, and that's adults to students, students to adults, and students to each other, and continue reinforcing respect in the area of rumors, teasing, and stealing. There has been some improvement, but since it does still feel as one of the areas of need still, so that is something that we have been addressing through some of the restorative practice that Mr. Cortez has been pushing in when those issues do arise, but I think it still will be an area of need based on student feedback in the spring. There is the other area that we look at is attendance, but I'll pause in case there's questions on the panorama survey that the students took. And again, the actual document is also attached to the agenda for your reference. Okay. The other area that we look into this goal is the number of students that are chronically absent. So looking at attendance. So when we looked at as of now, there has been a significant decrease in percentage of students being chronically absent. Last year we had a higher percentage, which was at the, let me see, it's further down here. Okay, we had 17.9% last year of students chronically absent, with TK having the highest at 36%. This year so far, as of the 27th, our percentage of students that are chronically absent has reduced by about 1.1%. They're currently at 16.8%. And our kinder is at 28%, 28.8, and TK is at 28.6. So that's a significant improvement from last year being at 36 to now at 28. What has been happening for that? Dr. Coloma, Mr. Cortez, and I have been meeting with some of our students who have chronic absenteeism problems. We've created a plan. I have actually referred those kids that did not show improvement at the school level, and we have met at the district level. We've had a total of 3 students that have gone to the district level where we create the more specific plans, and parents are part of that meeting. That district is the one that's directing it. So that's something that we were not able to do with the district previously, but I believe those things in combination have shown that it has positively impacted the chronic absenteeism levels for some students. We also implemented with Ms. Mary Lou, she started with a QR code as well to facilitate reporting of absences for the parents. That has also been a positive change that has avoided some of the extra calls that the office has to make to verify those absences. Okay. And then obviously the average attendance previous year was at 94.2%. Currently, as of the 27, we were at 94. It does, fluctuate from year to year, but we did see a big improvement last year, the year before, 23-24, which was a 93. So we had almost a 1% increase, and right now we're hovering at 94, which is pretty much about the same for most schools. We do get a report for the schools, and then we'll see at the end of the school year where we end up with our attendance rate. For the suspension, this obviously is not finished until the end of the school year, but we did show an uptick of suspensions. In the year 23-24, we were at 1.3. Last year, we were at 0.9, and we're currently holding at 1.2% of our students being suspended. So there hasn't been an increase in that area. And this is one of the areas that does get reported to the California dashboard as far as suspension at the end of the year, once everything has been completed as far as the school year. So that one, again, we saw the decrease of students being chronically absent, an increase obviously with students, especially in the lower grades, being less of them chronically absent. And then obviously there is an increase of suspension rate, but that does show, whenever there's issues, they have to be addressed with consequences so that behavior issues do not continue. But there is an uptick this year. Questions about that?
Thank you for the summary. Briefly, are you as a principal, do you have any concerns? I'm looking at the summary page of just students reporting their sense of safety, that for Martin, our results are much lower than comparison to the district.
Yes, and that's one of the areas. That's why I included the piece. Let me see if I can find it so it's available, easily available. Um, Looking at what is is getting our students to feel not safe. Obviously, some of the questions, the way that they are addressed. For example, there's questions about rumors. That is considered as a safety issue, and we have seen an increase of that. Our current fifth grade class has been struggling with some of those. That's where Mr. Cortez has come in to help, either with the restorative practices. I know Dr. Coloma has also been helping with some of those students as they are referred to her, and we do more groups and trying to resolve some issues. Both of them, as well as myself, we have been more open to kids coming over to express some of their concerns, and I think that will definitely help. And I did go up to, especially the fifth grade class, which is one of the one that we have seen more of the suspensions and some of the these issues that we see. Again, this survey is given to fourth and fifth grade students only, as mentioned. But you know, going in there, as far as I've been talking about behavior, especially with fifth grades students, as we have activities and how they do. Uh, there's a possibility of them losing activities if their behavior is not up to par. So I know I did see some of the kids, you know, kind of get concerned when some of the students started losing that and connecting. I don't want to lose anything. So that seemed to have a positive effect, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. But definitely, I do have to say from my part, and obviously, you know, we have our view, but social media has created a big impact on the lies, the rumors, and the teasing, the challenges that have come up. I know Dr. Gloma has faced some of those, so that has created some of the issues, and so that is considered under the safety part of it because they don't feel safe that a friend or an acquaintance is going to be talking about them. So that is something that we're currently addressing and will continue to address. So that's my biggest concern overall. But obviously, you know, I like to be able to dig a little bit deeper, but based on what the students have said as well.
Yeah, I would encourage the school to continue to explore what options are available and what additional things could be said or done or communicated, not only to the students, but also the families, because this has a trickle down effect. And so
Yes.
while the survey is asking fourth and fifth graders, the behavior is overseen by lower grades too, and it continues to impact. And as having a parent, as a parent, I hear a lot of things from my kids that are not in necessarily only in the fourth and fifth grade. And
Hmm.
so they're seeing it. They're seeing it and how the school, the principal, the administrators respond to it. It is observed.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I see two hands. I think I saw Ms. Vicente and Mr. Felix. Did you have a hand or no? No, just Ms. Vicente.
I am curious. So are the suspensions stemming from the teasing and the rumors? Are they like an extension of it? You know, like does a kid get teased and teased and teased, and then you know, I mean, it's probably not. I'm just. This is more anecdotal. Like in your from
Right.
what you've seen, are like are the kids acting out because they've been teased, and then they blow up and then now they're suspended, that kind of thing, or is it more like social media? It's going back to like you know, they said this online. I think if you, I mean, I don't know if we can even paint the
I mean,
picture.
obviously, we do look at it a little bit deeper when we're looking through PBIS and behavior. Some of them happen. I wouldn't say all of them, but the suspenses are the suspendable offenses that are categorized by Ed Code. And depending on the situation, like I said, I am being harder on the fifth graders, especially once they start seeing that they're losing these activities. I started seeing a little shift in some of them, obviously not all, but I've had 3 students that have already lost activities, and so when they come up to me as yeah, I've been outside, they've asked me about that. Did so and so lose it? Or and I said, look, I can't tell you who lost it for what, but I can tell you you can lose it if you get referred to the office on an office discipline referral, and that's after we investigate, the situation, because sometimes kids will try to pinpoint or choose certain scapegoats on certain students, but Dr. Coloma and I do a thorough investigation, and based on that, then students do get a consequence. But it could be, but I wouldn't say it's completely. Okay, so if I may, the next goal is goal 6. This is the parent survey that's conducted in the spring every year. For this one, it looks at a total of 6 areas with a variety of questions. And this one I did specifically put in Martin compared to SAUSD. That's the one I was thinking of with the arrows side by side. So we looked at the spring of 25 and the spring of 26 because parents do not take it in the fall like students. That students take it twice. Parents take it once a year. And for example, the 5th grade parents that took it here might not necessarily be the same parents that are here. So in this area, one of the biggest pieces that I'd like to point out, because it does affect the data, is in the spring of 25, we had 111 responses. On the spring of 2026, we had 23 responses. It did go out. Dr. Coloma, I know, put it out. Laura put it out as well. But we still had less responses. Just as I mentioned, a notable piece to include in there is when you have a decreased number of responses, it does typically affect somewhat the reliability. However, we will look at them as areas of need, regardless of what the statistics show. Okay, so on here for this year, we're looking at the comparison with barriers to engagement, and then this is parent engagement. Our school was at 88, at 80, and the district was at 80, so we were lower than the district. And I do mention that we were lower in most of them except for one. For family engagement, we were at 68 versus 91. Family support, we were at 78 versus 68, and this is the area that our school did better than the district. But again, it is a small number of responses. School climate, 69 and 76, and school safety, 83 and 80. And then you're able to compare it to how the parents responded. So for example, even though on this one, family efficacy, we did 75, the year before, it was different by 1%. Barriers to engagement, it was different by 8. And then family engagement, that's a huge difference, which, like I said, it's the responses of 23 individuals versus the responses of 111. So, that's one of the areas that I do have to input in there because of the number of responses. And as I mentioned, that we still look at that. So the biggest areas to improve, number one is getting more responses so that the data is more accurate and representative of more individuals. And then obviously work in the 3 lowest areas in both years, which are family efficacy. Family engagement was high the year prior, but it did go down this year, significant decrease, and school climate and as perceived by parents. Some of the activities that we started adding per parents' request, I think will help towards improving these in the following years. But to note that those are the 3 main areas that we need to improve as we move forward as we plan for next year. Any questions on that one?
I would like to note that, I would like to note that while the number of responses is low, I do think that as administrators, I would hope that under identified needs, that the administrators would come together and ask yourselves, like, what else can we be doing to make sure that our parents are helping us in getting more responses? Because I've tried to encourage others to complete the surveys, but there is a consistent theme that has been shared with you throughout the year, which is that it has been very challenging, that concerns go unheard. And so I think there is a, when that seems to be, when parents continue to express that, then it becomes an issue of like, why should I complete a survey if I've already said it in person? I've said it directly. I've had meetings, I've called, and parents have openly left the school because of some of those reasons. So under identified needs, I really would encourage the school to kind of look at that and say, like, how else can we reflect and what can we do to make sure that next year that there is an ownership by the school administrators and doing a little bit more on that.
Yes, and I did pull the responses to the questions as well, and I'm starting to look at some of the needs. For example, under family efficacy, some of the needs that the parents showed. One of the questions shows, "How well do I know my kids' friends?" But that's how it's asked. I obviously I don't know which questions exactly feed into each one, but just by reading some of them, I do want to go through all the individual questions. It doesn't give me who answered what, but specifically which areas are needed most. And again, with family engagement specifically, even though it wasn't the lowest of the three, but it did go significantly. And that's why I made sure to include it in here as an area as we continue planning for the rest of this year and obviously the plans for next year.
I see Ms. Vicente's hand.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's saddened. I was disheartened to see the decline, from 111 responses to 23 responses. That's a fifth. So out of every for every five parent, only one responded, right? Like last year, like four people chose not to respond. I mean, small sample, but and that's heartbreaking to me. I mean, the first word that came to mind was apathy. It's just like, oh no. So that is,
Personally, I think that because we did have, I think, a little bit more opportunities, more sessions. But my thought was before we were kind of chasing parents with the code and giving them that, but providing to get more responses is having opportunity for parents to do it on their phone or on a Chromebook here and having snacks, making it welcoming for them to be able to do that. So that's one of the plans that we have in mind. We did do a little bit more time for them to do it during one of the meetings, so that's we were able to get some of those responses. So we need to think outside the box to try to look for other incentives for parents to complete it, because this is something that gets recorded and a way that we can hear them as well.
yeah, I'm thinking next year. I mean, if we see this decline next year, how many parents will respond, right?
And the other area that we look under this goal area is looking at opportunities for parents to engage in meetings. This one specifically is talking about the monthly meetings where we do have both in person and then Zoom. And obviously the goal is and the need is to continuously increase. I went through the attendance. So it's an average of 10, sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's been 16, sometimes it's been 2 or 3. But from September to April, I don't have the data from last year, but I could retrieve it to see what the trend is on here. But I do keep all the sign-in sheets as well as the Zoom sign-ins, and I went through each month, and so it kind of averaged about 10 per monthly meetings. So we did start offering this year, pushing more on the childcare for the morning, hoping that we would have more parents showing up because we did have childcare, because that was expressed that they wanted that so that they could attend. But as I mentioned, we've only had a few parents take advantage of that at the beginning of the school year, and they haven't since. But we do publicize it every month, and we try to make sure that they let us know at least, with a day in advance so we can coordinate with the staff, but we can make it work if it's a day off. We can always ask for volunteers. So I like to kind of try to see, we did try something a little bit different to see maybe that would bring more parents in, but we pivoted based on your feedback. The first two meetings, we got feedback from parents not liking the format of the meetings, so we changed it up so that we can get more participation and slowly increasing the time for comments and concerns. So these meetings have changed from what they looked like in September versus to what they've looked like last month in April, based on parent feedback. And we'll continue to hear them out and look for the opportunities to bring them more. Okay. Family nights, we've only had one so far, and the decision was made to combine math and science for this year into STEAM, so having 2 versus 3 to hopefully, with the weather, increase the number of participants. When I wrap up, I'll have the number of individuals that participated. I do keep a count of that. And then when the STEAM night comes around, we'll also have numbers. I know our last family literacy night, we did have a rainy day, which kind of made it a little bit hard. We didn't have as much participation, in part because of the weather as well. We understand that parents sometimes walk and it makes it difficult for them to attend. But come the springtime now, and with the STEAM Family Night being outside in the open and promoting it more, then we're hoping to have, and I'll have the final numbers once we conclude STEAM Night as well. This is one of the added pieces. As we remember, the SPSA is the living document. So based on parent feedback, they requested to have other activities. One of them that was requested was lunch with a loved one, which we did for the first time. And we had about over 300 parents that participated in lunch with a loved one. I pulled the data from Raptor, which is all the labels that are signed in. We did have a few parents that didn't have their ID, showed up last minute. We still were able to accommodate them. We sat down as a team and looked at what went well, what can be improved. One of the areas that I think we settled on is just having one grade per day, so we have enough space. ILT also gave some feedback on that as well, but it was seen as a very successful event for our parents and students. And then the other item that we want to be able to tackle is, what about those kids that don't have someone come over? So we came up with a few ideas. Obviously, we'll iron those out as we planned another lunch with a loved one. For now, it was our first one, so we're going to look at next year and to see how we can maybe increase the number of these activities. But since we do have a lot of testing coming up, a lot of end of year activities, for this year, we're only able to have that one. And but we were very, very happy to see the success of it. And that's thanks to parents that participated and parents that suggested it as well. Okay.
I see a
I have
hand.
I have a suggestion. Why don't we give the parent survey in the lunch with a loved one, because that's 300 parents. That's more than the previous year. You want to have lunch with your kid while you're waiting. Here you go. Here's the parent survey.
Yeah.
That's a good. I'm not sure when those are released, but I
Yeah.
think that they're already here. They're already here. We already have them. It's just a survey, QR code on your screen. Okay, while we're waiting, okay, everyone 3 minutes, but we have them right here at school.
Yes, it is about 15 to 20 minutes for that survey, but we can look for opportunities as you mentioned, and obviously that would be a great one. So yes, thank you for that. The last one, I did add this one as well. Music program, presentations to parents, I should say. So we did have a winter program this year, which included all grades, including preschool, different from last year that we were able to include all grades. This one was not in Raptor because to make it easy for parents, we opened the doors to anyone coming in, so they wouldn't slow it down. But just anecdotal, based on the number of seats that we put out there, we had about 300 different parents that attended. Obviously, some of them attended multiple. We did have three awards, not awards, musical winter program. So it's about 300 parents that attended that. And then we will be having in May, for the first time, our fifth grade showcase. That is our fifth graders that will be presenting on the areas they've been working on, which are whether it be string instruments, wind instruments, theater, choir, and I think those are the four. So it will be during the day because the music teachers are only available during that time. We have set a date and they're working on the invite. So as soon as I have that, we'll get it out to you guys. But it'll be around 9:20. I believe it's the 18th. We were just talking about it during collaboration. So we'll send that out to the parents. Fourth grade, they are doing their activities, but they're not quite ready for a showcase to parents. But we're hoping that with the music teachers, hopefully next year they might be ready. But it's up to the music department. But we did push for this quite a bit. But that's why we included fifth graders in the winter program as well. So that is completely new, and then we'll let you know how many fifth grade parents do show up to the showcase. And I'm hoping a good number does turn out. Okay. That pretty much concludes goal number 6 for parent engagement.
Any questions? Okay, seeing none, we can go ahead and move into item number 3, which is the 25-26 SIPSA annual review.
Okay. Another requirement, besides the needs assessment, is the review of what has been done. And both of these items will help in the development of the new single plan for student achievement. So let's take a peek at this one. What I did go through is because it is most up to what we're looking at, with goal 1 and 2. I highlighted some areas, obviously. I won't go through the whole thing, but attendance, I highlighted obviously some of the items that I mentioned previously. So what we'll be doing at the end, I do want to give you more time to kind of look through it, but we saw that in this area, there's been some increases, positive increases as far as students coming to school, positive increases and less students being chronically absent. So we will be considering, do we need to continue things like this? One example that I note here is our average attendance has increased. And one of the things that this covers is, for example, the brag tags that are bought for the students to be able to recognize their attendance, a perfect attendance for the month, as well as a trimester award. So those are the things that we've done. These are the improvements based on the data that we have. So later on, we will discuss continue or discontinue or modify. Okay. In the social emotional counseling area, again, I do note on this one as far as students that have, let me go back, teachers on this one looking at purchasing materials to support lessons. It does go into some of the activities that Mr. Cortez goes in and pushing to do. He's done no-go lessons for first and third. He's done quite a few bullying prevention that he's pushed into the classrooms as we see issues come up. Restorative practice for our parents, it's whenever there's an issue, basically there's a protocol that we follow as a district to try to figure out what was the root cause of that and kind of repair the relationship, be able to come up with a solution to what things happened. And obviously some of the lessons that he does push in. Unfortunately, because we were month to month, it was kind of hard for him to plan out as much more than what he was able to do. But I think with the time that he's been here, he's been instrumental in providing support to many students. He did also meet with students, small groups, in some cases one-on-ones. And that's to help, again, as I mentioned, rumors, the stealing, the teasing, and all that. So he has positively impacted that.
I see a hand by Ms. Angel.
Yes,
I
Angel.
just wanted to add that aside from everything that Mr. Cortez plans to do, he also responds to last minute issues that kids may have. A lot of my kids have asked on the spot if they could meet him, and when I call, he's always willing and able to squeeze them in, even though he has something coming up. So he is very, very flexible, and we appreciate him very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The next area, creating a culture of rigor, and includes obviously 21st century learners. The money that was allocated, part of it was towards preparing teachers for professional development. As I mentioned before, the district paid most of our trainings this year, so we did not have to use that money. But we did use substitute teachers to release the teachers to test kinder, first, second, and third grade. Dibbles is new, the format of it for our teachers, and it has taken a little bit longer. So we were able to provide support, releasing the teachers so that they can focus on the assessment one student at a time. And then, as I mentioned, under culture and preparedness, we did have that money allocated for the computer tech, which has not been used. She is here a longer day, so that has been available for kids that need support or staff members that might need support. So that money was not used. Okay. Creating culture of rigor. On this one, it was on the focus of AVID. Obviously, we've discussed some in this case is how to rewrite this, but this is basically reporting on what we had previously. This part was on the agendas, as well as this year we did purchase the binders with the dividers, which I noticed I forgot to include it on here, but for your knowledge, it helped towards that college academic preparedness for students. Even though we're not an AVID school completely, we do have some teachers that were trained previously that our district currently is not allowing any school to send teachers for AVID training unless they're an AVID demonstration school. So we're using that focus on the materials that the teachers need, and it's mostly fourth and fifth grade. With the agendas or the folders. We did do a pivot for next year, so we are changing some of the binders. Teachers requested certain things differently, but still with a focus of organization and preparing the students for that organization as they move to junior high and high school. Okay. Included in that, I did add this piece because it was not previously on there in culture and climate for students to provide support, to be provided with support on the homework club. As I mentioned, an average of 8 students have been receiving that. School-wide positive behavior program, which is our PBIS. The focus of this is obviously buying some of the instructional materials, Title I allowable materials that are used for the PBIS store. We do have other donations that come in, and those are put in there. But Title I allowable materials that are purchased with this are, for example, pencils, erasers, sharpeners, bookmarkers, anything that can be used for instruction. But some of the other things have been donated that are fun for kids too. And for this one, computer hardware, none was purchased this year. Last year, we did purchase a few things such as cables, some equipment to help plug everything in. But we always do that as our tech ages. It cannot be used to replace worn material, but it can be used to supplement the technology that we already have in the classroom. For example, teachers were provided with a laptop when we came back from COVID. So if a teacher wants to add another screen to it, or a teacher wants to add another peripheral that goes with the laptop that was provided, that this is where we typically plan for that. This year we did not have that. The year before we did, and typically, after a while, we end up needing some. So that's goal 1 that I did update, and I also updated goal 9. And I like to, for the next time, look at, how do we continue as we're standing plan. This will be in conjunction with the planning for next year. For this one, on goal one, where we paid for supervisors, to supervisor in special events. Phase liaison worked extra time for special events, and monthly, as we noticed, we spent a little bit more than we had anticipated, but the need was there. Therefore, we continued with that. Materials purchased to support parent engagement. For example, there was a set of books that we're waiting on that were ordered that are bilingual to support parents, sort of a book club that Ms. Laura was looking into, as well as some of the materials that she need per school site council that allocated money for that. So that's included in that as well as anecdotal. And then parent support, obviously providing substitute teachers. We do have what's called an SSC meeting where teachers are released from their teaching duties for about an hour, 45 minutes, to meet with a parent, with admin, to look at students that are having significant difficulty with learning. They have been provided intervention. That's the discussions that we provide. And we are able to release the teacher by paying for a substitute so that they can meet with the parents as well and create a plan and monitor their growth and in cases recommend towards specialized instruction. So we have been paying for those typically about one a month, sometimes two a month. And then pushing in when I am able to during conferences as well to save a little bit of money on this one. But that has been utilized that way. Okay. And then as we're when we start planning for the next year, which I'm looking at, which I'm proposing, we might have to skip 6 because of the time, but we'll be looking at side by side. This is what we did last year. How should we continue? How should we modify? How should it look like for next year? Okay. So we'll look at it side by side. But due to the time, I'm anticipating we might have to skip number 6.
Yeah.
But we will use this document for that.
Ms. Gonzalez, if I can recommend maybe before the next meeting, if we can get the agenda out a little bit sooner and maybe that recommendation of if folks can review it ahead of time, that way, if there's any input, that way we can collect that input earlier, or if you can make a document that is that we can edit and put our comments, we can also do that ahead of time too.
What we did last time is I allowed for you guys to suggest do the comments.
Yeah.
So this document is the same one. I will continue updating it and share it with you guys as well. What my plan was to do goal 1. This is what happened last year. These are the suggestions for next year, kind of side by side.
Okay, I think that would be a good practice to continue. But seeing that we are at time, I want to be respectful of folks' times. If there is nothing else that needs to urgently be discussed, I would like to recommend that we adjourn the meeting for today.
I make a motion to close the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Vicente.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Angel. All right, everyone, thank you all so much. With that, our meeting is adjourned. We will see each other again on May the 13th.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.